Incredible moment. Billionaire revealed to turn jet for single mom's life-changing request for breakthrough treatment. The sun hadn't yet risen over Chicago, but Sarah was already awake, moving like clockwork in the dim light of her cramped kitchen. A pot of coffee brewed, its rich scent mingling with the sweet smell of pancakes warming on the stove. She moved with purpose, knowing the morning rush at the diner would be a whirlwind. But beyond the busy day ahead, her heart belonged to her two bright-eyed children Mia and Caleb, who giggled with sleepy enthusiasm as they munched their breakfast. They were the sun in her sky, but sometimes, life slams the door hard. One fateful morning, Sarah's world imploded when she received a call from the doctor. Mia's laughter faded, replaced by stark reality. "It's rare, and she needs treatment only available in New York," the doctor had said. The words echoed in Sarah's mind, like a cruel taunt. How could she, with bills piling high and her trusty old car threatening to give up any day, muster the strength for this? Tears blurred her vision as she stared at Mia's unsuspecting face. Her brave little girl, desperate, Sarah turned her anguish into action. She rallied her community, posting about Mia's diagnosis on social media, calling out for help while keeping her head high. Outside, the shadows of their struggling neighborhood seemed less daunting. Neighbors she barely knew rallied, bringing casseroles, organizing fundraisers, and voicing words of encouragement that pierced through her despair. It was a testament to what hope could do, like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away, Jake Reynolds swiped through his phone, scanning headlines about Sarah's plea, inadvertently drawn to her pain. At first, he figured it was a golden opportunity, a PR win for his corporate empire. But as he delved deeper into Sarah's story, he felt something stir in him, something he hadn't felt in years: empathy. Was the price of success worth it if it meant turning his back on people like Sarah? As the days slipped by, he faced a critical decision. Finally, with a quiet resolve, he chartered a private jet. "I'm doing this," he thought, feeling a flicker of hope ignite within. But walking into this new territory wasn't easy. Friends questioned his motives. Would this act of kindness be viewed as genuine, or just another publicity stunt? Just when it seemed Jake's heart was locked in a struggle for good, Sarah confronted him. Her eyes warmed with a fierce intensity, the same eyes that shone so brightly in Mia. "This isn't just a handout. This is my little girl's life," she exclaimed, tears glistening. "You think this is easy for me?" Her words hit him hard, like a revelation. Standing there, in the midst of her raw vulnerability, Jake realized true transformation began at the crossroads of privilege and humanity. Shadows of doubt fell away as Sarah's quiet strength pulled him closer to a new perspective on success, forcing him to rethink his own values. Outside, the busy city continued spinning, oblivious. And as their lives intertwined at that moment, a powerful question lingered in the air: could a billionaire's heart truly change when faced with a mother's relentless love? Sarah paced the small kitchen as the morning light filtered through dusty blinds. In the background, the comforting sounds of sizzling pancakes filled the air, but her heart was anything but peaceful. She glanced at Mia, lost in thought, her brave facade crumbling as the reality of their situation settled over her. Her phone buzzed on the counter, shattering the fleeting serenity. A notification from a fundraising page she had set up days ago brightened the dull screen. "Help is coming," she whispered to herself, the familiar ache of hope flooding her chest. Donations trickled in, each one a reminder that their community stood beside them. The diner was busy today, the clattering of dishes and chatter from regulars creating a lively atmosphere, but Sarah found it hard to focus. Instead, she replayed Jake's face, framed by the opulence of his world, the uncertainty of his intentions written all over him. Was this just a publicity stunt, or did he really want to help? The thought twisted in her stomach, but she quickly squashed it. She couldn't afford to think like that. Mia needed her to be strong. Across town, Jake sat in his sleek office, staring out at the bustling city below. He should have been reveling in business accolades, but the guilt gnawed at him like a relentless tide. The more he learned about Sarah and Mia's struggle, the less joy he found in his triumphs. Those fleeting moments of connection with Sarah replayed in his mind like a mantra. "This isn't just a handout," echoed in his ears, igniting a fire in his core. "Focus, Jake," he muttered to himself. He reached for his phone, scrolling through newspaper articles and social media posts about Sarah and her relentless journey. It was all there: her courage, her vulnerability. This was more than just charity, it was about saving a life. The decision felt monumental, like standing on a precipice, ready to leap into the unknown. Finally, he stood up, shoulders squared, and dialed a number. "Charter my jet for tomorrow. We're going to Chicago," he instructed his assistant, breathing a little easier as he hung up. It wasn't just a donation. He intended to deliver his support in person, to show Sarah that her plea had pierced through the armor of his success. The next morning, anticipation crackled in the air as Sarah stood in front of the mirror, fastening her hair into a tight bun. She glanced at Mia, who hummed a tune while coloring at the kitchen table. Caleb, ever the joker, made a funny face that pulled a smile from her despite the weight on her shoulders. "You okay, Mama?" he asked, noticing the flicker of worry in her eyes. "I'm okay, sweetheart," she replied, forcing warmth into her voice. "Just thinking about Mia." The truth felt heavy on her heart, but she wouldn't let them see her fear. They needed hope. At the airport, Jake looked out at the gray sky, a storm brewing that reflected the turmoil within him. Approaching the jet, he felt the gravity of his decision settle in. He wasn't just crossing state lines, he was crossing into a new chapter of his life. As the plane took off, a knot of anxiety twisted in his stomach. Would Sarah see this as a genuine act of goodwill? What if he failed to meet her expectations? The questions pounded relentlessly, each one louder than the last. Meanwhile, Sarah's phone buzzed again, this time with a video call request. Startled, she accepted it, and her heart raced as Jake's familiar face filled the screen, framed by the luxurious backdrop of his private jet. His eyes showed determination, deep compassion. "Sarah, I'm on my way. We need to talk," he said, a softness to his voice that pushed the dread a little more into the background. "About what?" She couldn't hide her surprise. "About hope," he replied, and for the first time, the tension between them felt like it might transform into something deeper, something that could bridge the chasm of their worlds. And as she stared into his eyes, something clicked, a heartbeat of understanding. What could they build together, standing on the brink of their shared struggle? Sarah blinked, the distance between reality and the screen narrowing. Jake's voice wrapped around her, though 1,000 questions scrambled in her mind. Did he truly understand what they were facing? Could he see past the glamour that shrouded his existence, past the glossy surface and into the gritty depths of her life? "I know this is unexpected," Jake continued, his tone steady as he leaned closer to the camera. "But I need you to understand I'm not here for the headlines. I'm here because I believe we can make a difference together." "A difference?" she echoed, her voice trembling slightly. "What does that look like for you?" He inhaled deeply. "I want to meet with you, to understand what Mia needs. To see for myself how I can help." Her heart raced. Help. They had been so long without it. "What do you mean?" she urged, her eyes darting from the screen to the window, where the world outside seemed so far away. "I don't understand how you can help someone like me." He smiled softly, vulnerability emanating from his expression. "You're not just someone. You're a mother fighting for her daughter. That's a fight I resonate with. I want to support you in every way I can." Caleb's head popped up behind Sarah, his curious eyes glued to the screen. Jake's polished demeanor intrigued him, his youthful charm initially disarming. "Who is that, Mama?" he whispered, not quite ready to break the bubble around their serious conversation. "Just a friend, sweetheart," Sarah replied quickly, shifting gears. Would it be right to involve the kids in this? But the faint glimmer of hope was too hard to resist. She took a breath and caught Jake's indented gaze. Look, I appreciate the offer, but everything feels so overwhelming, Jake. You have no idea about our day-to-day grind. The tremor in her voice betrayed her strength, and she bit her lip, striving for composure. Then let me learn, he insisted, determination evident in his gaze. Let me come to you. I want to hear your story, to see the real you. Not the one the media paints. Sarah's walls began to crack. Could she let him in? What did it mean to allow someone like him into their tumultuous life? Even the thought felt terrifying. But deep down, she recognized her need for assistance. For hope. For a chance. I can't promise anything, she stated, her resolve flickering. Mia is she's delicate. She has specific needs. I'll make it work, he said, his sincerity undeterred. Just give me a chance. Let us bring hope back into your world, Sarah. But too many shadows loomed over that hope. Doubt clawed at her heart. Will he see the challenges for what they are? Could she trust him to be there beyond this moment? Okay, she whispered, almost to herself. Let us see what tomorrow brings. Caleb leapt in excitement, delighted by the prospect of change. But for Sarah, the weight of the decision nearly knocked the wind out of her. Later that night, as the kids settled into slumber, Sarah sat cloaked in silence, her phone lighting up every few minutes with alerts. Each ping reminded her of the uncertainty ahead. Would Jake truly be there for them? Or would this windfall of hope dissolve like so many before it? As she wrestled with her thoughts, she caught a glimpse of her reflection in the microwave door. The rendering of a woman caught between fear and hope stared back. She didn't want to crush her dreams with caution, yet how could she possibly ignore her loyalty to Mia? In that moment, she resolved to guard her heart, yet still, allow a small ember of possibility to flicker within. The next morning, the sunrise bathed the kitchen in golden light, and a new sense of urgency coursed through her. It was time to ready herself for Jake's arrival. No matter what emerged from this encounter, it was a step toward change, however daunting. Then, the soft chime of a calendar notification echoed in the silence. Meeting with Jake, 14 hours. What would they turn this moment into? Could this man truly affect their lives? As she turned the coffee machine on, her heart beat rapidly. Hope hovered, uncertain yet tantalizing. Maybe this was the spark their lives needed. But would Jake be everything he promised? Would they truly cross bridges together? Sarah swallowed hard as she glanced outside, the world still holding its breath, waiting. The day dragged on, pressing against Sarah as she tidied the kitchen and wrestled with her thoughts. The morning shower wasn't enough to wash away the nerves that knotted in her stomach. She kept replaying Jake's words, the earnestness that seemed genuine yet felt utterly foreign. Caleb hung around her, full of unrestrained excitement for the change he sensed was coming. He asked her a dozen questions about when Jake would arrive, what he'd say, and whether they'd have pizza for dinner after he left. Each chirpy query felt like a weight on her chest. She wanted to be honest with him, to balance hope with caution. But how do you explain that to an 8-year-old? With lunch nearly done, Sarah pieced together Mia's care routine in her mind. She double-checked the notes she made about Mia's medications, her triggers, and how best to approach her in case Jake asked. The girl wouldn't respond to just anyone, nor was she predictable. This wasn't just a casual meeting, it was a crucial point of intersection between their realities. A chime announced the arrival of a message. It felt like a jolt of electricity, sending adrenaline rushing through her veins. It was from Jake. I'm on my way. Looking forward to it. What does that even mean? A million thoughts rushed through her head. She had a decision to make, a door to open just a crack. Would it swing wide, or slam shut in their faces? As she held Mia's favorite stuffed bunny in her hands, she felt her heart clench. It was such a little thing, so simple, yet it represented everything she fought for. She wanted to protect, to shield her daughter from all the adult complications surrounding them. Tightening her grip, she whispered a silent prayer for strength. Caleb burst back into the kitchen, his small hands clutching a tiger toy. Mama. Can we be ready when he gets here? I want to show him my room. Sarah managed a smile, though her insides twisted. Of course, honey. But remember, this is about Mia. Right. He nodded vigorously, and she noticed the sparkle in his eyes. To him, this was an adventure. To her, it was a tangled web of fear and hope. Just as a rush of doubt clutched at her, a car pulled into the driveway. The squeal of tires cut through her thoughts, and she felt her heart race. He was here. Standing at the window, Sarah watched as Jake stepped out of a sleek black SUV, his tailored suit catching the sunlight. The ease of his posture suggested a confidence that made her uneasy. Is he going to handle the chaos or get overwhelmed like everyone else she'd invited into their lives? The doorbell rang, sending both Caleb and Sarah into a spin. As she opened the door, a moment hung in the air, two worlds colliding. Jake's brilliant smile and polished demeanor flooded her senses. Hi, Sarah. Are you ready? She forced a nod, her throat painfully dry. I think so. Jake stepped forward, his presence larger than life. Thank you for inviting me in. I'm really excited for us to figure this out together. In that moment, Sarah wanted to feel that excitement. She really did. But a voice in her head warned her to stay guarded. It had been too long since someone genuinely cared or proved reliable enough to help. Let us do this, she murmured, the words barely escaping her lips before a small figure zipped past her legs. Hi. I'm Caleb. Want to see my toys? Jake's laughter bounced off the walls, bright yet anxious. As he knelt to greet Caleb, Sarah felt herself retreat into the shadows, observing the scene unfold with a new perspective. Mia, who had cautiously approached the unfolding chaos from her quiet corner, suddenly caught Caleb's energy. Hearing Jake's voice and her brother's excitement seemed to breach her own walls. Maybe this is going to be different, Sarah thought, her heart battling between hopeful and skeptical. But then she caught Mia's gaze, eyes wide and wary, trying to decide if this sudden presence was friend or foe. And that was the moment Sarah realized, all the hope in the world couldn't shatter the reality that lay in front of them. What was she truly willing to risk for a glimmer of support? Would Jake's intentions be enough to bridge the years of mistrust they had built? The tension in the air thickened as they stood on the edge of something unimaginable. She took a deep breath, preparing to cross over into unknown territory. But would they be able to move forward, or would this moment collapse under the weight of their past? Sarah stood still, the door half open, as she tried to mask the whirlwind of emotions swirling inside her. Jake was engaging Caleb with all the ease of someone familiar. And yet, Sarah couldn't shake the tension that coiled within her, a protective instinct over Mia, a hesitation born from years of not trusting anyone. Caleb, show Jake your Legos. She finally said, trying to redirect the energy bubbling between the boys. Caleb raced up the stairs, his laughter lingering like a melody in the air. Jake turned to Sarah, his smile softening as if sensing her hesitation. How about we check in on Mia together? I'd love to meet her. His voice was steady, the kind she hadn't heard in a long time. Sure, Sarah replied, the word barely escaping her lips. The kitchen felt like a cage, the walls closing in with each step she took toward the living room. The weight of her responsibilities pressed down on her shoulders, but she pushed through, leading Jake toward Mia's domain. As they stepped into Mia's sanctuary, a tapestry of colored drawings hanging on the walls, toys strewn across the floor like snippets of a dream. Jake crouched down to Mia's level, allowing his presence to shrink into something more approachable. Sarah stood back, her heart racing at the fleeting hopes that danced in her mind. Hey there, Mia. I'm Jake, he said gently. Mia peered from behind her beloved stuffed bunny, shyness cloaking her features but curiosity sparking in her wide eyes. It was a small moment, but for Sarah, time seemed to hang in balance. She likes bunnies, Sarah mentioned softly, stepping closer yet still maintaining a safe distance. And music, she loves music. Jake nodded. That's great. Mia, I brought something special with me. He pulled out a small, colorful ukulele from his bag, setting it lightly on the floor between them. Want to try it with me? Mia stared at the instrument, her expression unreadable. Sarah held her breath, every second stretching into an eternity. Would Mia reach out? Would she want to engage, or would this encounter spiral into retreat? Caleb zoomed back into the room, now waving a box of Legos. Look what I got, Mia. We can build a castle. His energy contrasted sharply with Mia's cautious demeanor. In that moment, the safe haven Sarah had cultivated for Mia felt teetering on the edge. Could Jake truly understand, or would he fray the delicate fabric of her daughter's world? Mia glanced between the ukulele and her brother, confusion flickering in her gaze. The room felt electric, an understanding that love and fear danced together in their midst. Just when it seemed like it could all crumble, Mia stepped forward, her fingers brushing the strings gently. Jake grinned, and Sarah felt an unexpected swell of hope. Maybe this wasn't just a visit, maybe this was the beginning of something they all needed. Yet, Sarah couldn't shake the thought that more than just Mia was in danger of getting hurt. What if Jake actually meant what he said? What if he truly wanted to be part of their lives? As laughter erupted from Caleb and Mia, Jake joined in, and for a fragile moment, everything felt right. But still, the feathers of worry hovered in Sarah's mind. She felt trapped between hope for love and fear of rejection. Was she ready to open her heart again? The question recoiled in her mind like a charged bolt, leaving a mark of uncertainty. Mia's laughter drifted like a soft breeze through the living room, but Sarah's heart pulsed with a different rhythm, a beat that echoed her past. As they occupied the space together, warmth mixing with the air heavy with vulnerability, Sarah's thoughts spiraled into a whirlpool of what-ifs. Can this truly be different? She wondered as she held her breath, a single question lingering in the air. Would their fragile moment hold fast, or would it unravel the instant they pressed forward? Mia's fingers hovered over the strings of the ukulele, hesitating as if testing the waters of a new adventure. Sarah watched, heart thudding in her chest, both anxious and hopeful. The world outside faded away as the room filled with the gentle strum of possibilities. What do you think, Mia? Jake asked, his voice warm and inviting. Want to give it a try? Caleb, engrossed in his Legos, glanced over, his little fingers still at work. Come on, Mia. You can do it. His encouragement was innocent yet powerful, as if he sensed the weight of what this moment could mean for both his sister and Jake. Bravery surged within Mia as she finally reached forward, her small hand finding the instrument. The first pluck of a string sent ripples through the still air. A soft note filled the room, light and fragile, like the first day of spring. Sarah's breath caught a flicker of joy mixed with fear collided in her chest. See? It sounds nice. Jake encouraged, his eyes sparkling. Try strumming it a bit more. As if possessed by a newfound confidence, Mia took the ukulele and began to play, her fingers dancing over the strings, creating a gentle melody that resonated with everyone present. Sarah couldn't suppress her smile. This was a moment she wished for, where Mia could connect without trepidation, where she could be just a kid making music with someone she had barely known until now. Caleb ran to his sister's side, adding his voice to the tune. I can sing with you, he declared, amazed at the harmony they were creating. Jake's laughter echoed, filling the room with warmth. You're both amazing. I can't believe what I'm hearing. He joined in, complimenting Mia's melody with his own rhythmic claps, encouraging her more. But as laughter erupted anew, the shadow of doubt crept in for Sarah. She had seen enough playdates and attempts at connection to know how swiftly they could turn. What if this moment, as magical as it felt, would end like the others? If things went wrong, would Mia retreat into her shell? She pressed her tongue against the roof of her mouth and took a breath, forcing herself to stay grounded. You're doing great, Mia, she called encouragingly, though her heart tumbled over the edge of its own worries. Just have fun. The music wrapped around them all, unifying the space and pushing away the ghosts of past fears. Then, in an unexpected turn, Jake asked, Mia, do you want to learn a song together? I know one that's super fun. He was met with wide eyes almost bursting with excitement. We can play it as a band. Just you, me, and Caleb. For a heartbeat, Sarah struggled against a wave of emotion. Did Jake really mean that? In this moment, she could see a glimpse of what life could look like if he truly cared for them. But what came next? The weight of their potential relationship loomed large in the room, a question mark drifting like smoke in the air. Overwhelmed but invigorated, she whispered to herself, what if he meant it? As Mia's fingers danced again, and Caleb chimed in, the sound of their laughter pushing aside her worries, Sarah felt the delicate threads of excitement weave through the room yet again. Could this moment transform into something lasting? But then, as she processed the joys of right now versus the storms of her past, a sudden thought struck her. Would Jake still be there tomorrow? The uncertainty loomed like a cloud overhead, overshadowing the warmth, a reminder that they weren't out of the woods yet. In that instant of fleeting happiness, uncertainty crept back into her mind, whispering its fears. The music played on, but Sarah's heart swiftly turned back to one thing, trust. Would she be able to trust again? And somewhere in that captured moment, she realized, this was just the beginning. Mia's melody flowed like a shimmering stream dipped in sunlight. Each strum of the ukulele radiated warmth that felt like a soft blanket wrapped around Sarah's heart. She watched Mia's face, illuminated with a blend of joy and trepidation, and for a moment, everything else, the suppressive echoes of what-ifs, seemed to fade away. Let us do it. Jake enthused, excitement bubbling in his voice. How about you are my sunshine? It's easy. Mia nodded eagerly, and Caleb clapped his hands, bouncing on his small feet. The small living room transformed into a stage, where their little band was about to perform a song that resonated with love and warmth. As Jake guided Mia through the chords, Sarah leaned against the entrance, feeling as though a new chapter was blossoming right before her eyes. Each chord strummed filled her with a bittersweet hope. Could they really make this work? Could these connections transcend the scars of their past? Jake took a step closer, positioning himself right beside Mia. Just follow my lead, and we'll sound amazing together, he assured her. Mia's brows furrowed in concentration, but as she looked up, she caught Jake's encouraging smile. It was a simple gesture, yet it gave her the courage to try harder. With cautious fingers, Mia plucked the strings, replicating what Jake showed her. As she found her rhythm, Sarah's heart sang along with the music, radiating warmth throughout the room. Caleb, full on, joined the performance, his small voice ringing out with enthusiasm. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. Joy erupted like popcorn in the air, filling the space with their laughter and collective spirit. But Sarah felt the familiar pang of fear creeping back in again. What if this was an illusion? What if the warmth they were sharing wasn't real? Her past echoed in her mind, reminding her of the hurt, of the disappointments. But Jake had been so different, hadn't he? Mia, you sound incredible. Jake cheered as he strummed along, clearly enjoying this moment. You're a natural. Mia beamed at the praise, her confidence blossoming like a flower. That simple compliment ignited something within Sarah, illuminating her heart. Perhaps it was time to relinquish her doubts and embrace this moment, a little shift in her perspective. Okay, focus, Sarah. Just breathe, she whispered to herself. The music floated around them like a tender embrace, and with each hit of a chord, it seemed to fracture the walls she had built for protection. Maybe this was the start, a chance to trust again, even with the uncertainties looming. As the song came to an end, the room erupted in applause, small hands clapping and laughter ringing out. Mia's cheeks flushed with delight, and for the first time, Sarah felt a sense of relief wash over her. Ready to do it again? Jake asked, a twinkle in his eye. He looked at Mia, who was near vibrating with excitement. Yeah. Let us play another. She exclaimed, the sparkle in her eyes contagious, but just as the music began anew, the phone rang loudly, cutting through the joyful sounds. Sarah's heart sank. She hesitated, glancing at the phone that buzzed persistently on the kitchen counter. The moment felt fragile, precarious, as if their laughter could be snatched away in an instant. Is it important? Jake asked, peeking over the ukulele. Maybe, Sarah replied, already knowing that it could be something from her past, a reminder far darker than the light encircling them now. The joy shifted to uncertainty as she took a small step towards the phone. What if it changed everything? Feeling the weight of the moment, she paused. Could she confront whatever lay beyond, knowing that this moment with Mia and Jake was hanging so delicately in the balance? Should I answer? She asked, looking back at them, torn between the past that beckoned and the warmth they had just created. As she reached for the phone, an overwhelming feeling swelled within her. Would this moment remain, or would it slip away, taking with it the possibility of a brighter tomorrow? Sarah's fingers trembled as they hovered over the phone. The buzzing felt like a reminder of a past she'd rather forget. She glanced at Jake and Mia, a pang of guilt washing over her. This moment filled with music and laughter was a precious gift, and now it felt threatened. Just answer it, Jake urged gently, sensing her hesitation. It might be important. His voice was calm, reassuring, but all Sarah could think of was the shadow that loomed behind that call. Taking a deep breath, she picked up the phone and glanced at the screen, a number she didn't recognize. Anxiety twisted in her stomach. It could be my ex, she whispered, her voice barely above a murmur. The laughter and energy from the room felt miles away as she pressed the answer button. Hello? Sarah, the voice on the other end was deep and flat, a voice that struck her with a chill. It's me. Her pulse raced. The familiar tone sent shivers down her spine. What do you want? She replied, trying to mask her trepidation. I need to talk to you. It's important, he said, his voice cold and unyielding. I heard about Mia. We need to discuss things. A wave of nausea washed over Sarah. There's nothing to discuss. Don't pretend this doesn't involve you. You're still tied to me, he insisted. Just like that, all the warmth in the room began to dissipate, replaced by a familiar cold dread. Jake watched her closely, concern etching his features. Mia, sensing the shift, turned her attention from the ukulele. The joyful ambience faded as if someone dimmed the light. Nothing ties us, Sarah shot back, her words firmer now with desperate determination. You made your choices. I'm trying to move on. Moving on doesn't erase what you owe, he said, his tone dangerously calm. Let us not pretend it's over. A knot formed in her throat, her heart racing. The words echoed in her mind, pulling her back into shadows she had fought so hard to escape. But as she glanced over at Mia and Jake, their eyes wide with worry, Sarah felt a spark of defiance flare inside her. I owe you nothing. I won't let you take this from me, she retorted fiercely, her voice steady even as it trembled inside her. A sense of empowerment surged, as if she was standing on the edge of a cliff, ready to leap into the unknown. Think carefully, Sarah. I won't go away quietly, he warned before the call abruptly ended. She felt numb, the silence pressing heavily on her chest. She returned to the living room, her heart heavy but filled with a newfound resolve. Mama, are you okay? Mia asked, her innocent eyes reflecting concern. Yeah, sweetie, I'm fine, Sarah lied, forcing a smile. Just a little distracted. Let us keep playing. Caleb piped up, eager for the music to return. Good idea, Jake chimed in, his voice warm and inviting. He reached for Mia's ukulele, his fingers dancing over the strings as if to coax the light back into the room. The moment disintegrated into laughter and new chords, but Sarah felt the undercurrent of tension still buzzing in her mind. That call, it was just the beginning of something she wasn't ready to face. As laughter returned, Sarah found herself standing on the edge, wondering if she could truly guard this newfound joy. Jake caught her gaze, giving her a reassuring smile. It was a reminder that she wasn't alone, no matter how heavy her past felt. The music escalated, filling the room once more, but in the back of Sarah's mind, the reality hung on like a dark cloud. What was coming next? Would she have the strength to protect Mia and the new family they were starting to build? Or would the past come crashing back with a vengeance? Deep inside, she knew she had to be ready. The question was, could she stand firm in the face of her fears, or would her past reach out and drag her back into the shadows? The music swirled around them, notes threading together like a tapestry of light inside the dimly lit living room. As laughter bubbled up from Mia and Jake, Sarah's mind was lost in the echo of her ex's voice. Each chord strummed seemed to resonate with her rising turmoil, a stark contrast to the warmth that enveloped them. She gazed at the faces of those she loved. Jake's gentle smile had a way of pulling her back from the brink, while Mia's innocence reminded her of what she stood to protect. But the call lingered in her thoughts, a dark shadow in a space filled with love and laughter. Jake caught her off guard when he looked up from the ukulele, the light reflecting in his eyes. "Hey, you sure you're okay? You're awfully quiet." "Yeah, just thinking," she said, her voice a bit strained. "Want to talk about it?" "Not yet," she replied quickly. Mia interjected, her small voice cutting through the heaviness. "Can we play that song about the big blue ocean again?" Sarah managed a smile. "Sure, sweetie. That one essay favorite." She played along, her fingers moving over the strings, but her mind still wandered to darker waters, churning with thoughts of the conversation she'd had. Hours passed, laughter puncturing the air, but the phone's silence haunted her like a ghost. As the evening waned, she could no longer ignore the gnawing feeling rising within. Clarity came in waves, a resolve to face whatever storm was brewing. Jake cleared his throat, breaking the comfortable silence as twilight descended outside. "Sarah, can I be real for a second?" "Of course. There's something heavy in the air tonight, and I can feel it." "Is it about your ex?" His gaze was steady, a comforting anchor amidst the turbulent sea of her emotions. Sarah bit her lip, contemplating her next words. "He called. He said he wants to talk. About Mia." The admission left a bitter taste in her mouth. "What did he mean?" Jake asked, frowning. "I think he wants to have a say in her life." "Like he's still a part of it," she replied, her voice trembling. "That's ridiculous. You're her mother, and you've built a life here. He doesn't get to invade that," Jake said firmly, his protective nature flaring to life. "I know, but he's persuasive. He thinks he has a right to something," she whispered, fear creeping into her voice. Mia, oblivious to the weight of their conversation, danced around the room, twirling as though she could spin away their troubles. Sarah watched her daughter, her heart both aching and swelling with love. She couldn't let her past choices dim Mia's light. "Sarah," Jake's tone softened. "You don't owe him anything. You have a fresh start here. An amazing one. I want to believe that, but hearing him again, it pulls at something deep inside. Then let us address it together. You're not alone in this fight." His words hung in the air, heavy yet comforting. Sarah felt warmth spread through her, a flicker of hope igniting. She reached out, capturing his hand in hers. "What if he decides to make this ugly? What if he fights for custody?" "I can't let that happen." Jake squeezed her hand. "We won't let that happen, Sarah. We will figure it out together." As they sat there, unwinding their fears through conversation, their bond felt stronger. For the first time, she could see a path forward. Yet with each minute passing, that ominous shadow lingered. Could she really push back against her past and shield Mia from the storm that may come? As the evening wound down, the laughter faded, and the light dimmed, Sarah caught Mia's eye, shining back at her from the corner of the room. The weight of the world pressed heavily on her shoulders, but one thing became clear: she would fight with everything she had. But with uncertainty looming, she had to ask herself, was she ready to confront her past? Would she have the strength to defend her family when that call turned into a battle she couldn't afford to lose? The days that followed felt like a whirlwind, each moment spinning around Sarah as she prepared for an inevitable confrontation. The phone calls with Jake morphed into strategic meetings filled with research, plans, and a resolve that seemed to fortify her spirit. Sarah's life found a rhythm, driving the kids to school, working at the diner, and brainstorming with Jake late into the night. They formed a united front, each brainstorming session igniting sparks of determination within her. She felt the weight of their shared purpose. "Remember, you are not alone in this fight," Jake reminded her one night, as they sipped coffee from chipped mugs. The flickering light cast a warm glow, revealing the confidence growing in her heart. With each passing day, Sarah grew stronger. She found her voice, a steady echo of love and fight for Mia. They prepared for the upcoming meeting with her ex, knowing it would be a test of strength, but now, she had Jake by her side. The day arrived, gray skies looming over them, a mirror to her heart's anxiety. As they arrived at the designated coffee shop, Sarah's hands trembled. Jake was her anchor, standing beside her, reassuringly steady. "I'll be right here," he said, his presence a fortress against the rising tides of fear. When her ex, Mark, walked in, the familiar knot in her stomach twisted painfully. He sauntered with an air of entitlement, and an uneasy feeling crawled up her spine. But instead of retreating like so many times before, she took a deep breath, recalling all they had worked towards. "Mark," she started, her voice firm yet calm. "I'm here to talk about Mia, not to revisit the past." Mark smirked but faltered under her unwavering gaze. "You can't just push me out of her life like that. I'm her father." "That's exactly why I'm here," Sarah countered, raising her chin slightly. "You haven't been around. You haven't even attempted to learn about her needs until now." Each word was deliberate, carrying the weight of her love and pain for Mia. He scoffed, but Jake interjected. "This is about Mia's best interests, and she deserves more than just your surface-level involvement." His voice was steady like a lighthouse cutting through the fog. Sarah felt a surge of strength. She wasn't alone anymore. The meeting was a battle, with Mark attempting to browbeat them, but Sarah stood firm, backed by Jake's unwavering support. She pushed back against every attempt to undermine her, standing with a fierce heart ready to protect her daughter at all costs. In the end, when Mark stormed out, a mix of relief and triumph washed over Sarah. Jake clasped her hand, squeezing it tightly. "You did it, Sarah. You stood your ground." She couldn't help but grin, feeling the chains of fear break away. "We did it. I did it. You were amazing too." In the weeks that followed, Sarah found her strength rooted in the connections she forged not just with Jake, but with her children, friends, and neighbors. Each collaboration deepened their community ties, knitting hearts tighter through shared experiences and love. Mia began to thrive, giggles replacing the hesitation she once wore like armor. Caleb beamed with pride, always eager to show Jake their latest Lego creations, where laughter floated freely in the air. One afternoon, Sarah found herself standing in the living room, watching the kids get lost in their play. The weight of the past melted away, revealing a bright future ahead. Jake walked in, catching her gaze. "Hey, you," he said softly, teasing a smile on his lips. "You look like you're ready to take on the world." "I'm ready to take on anything," she chuckled. "You've inspired me." He stepped closer, letting the warmth of his presence wrap around her like a shawl. "You inspire me. You're the bravest person I know." In that moment, Sarah recognized the profound truth: love can create unbelievable strength, and with love, trust could blossom like wildflowers piercing through concrete. "I still can't believe how far we've come," Sarah said, her heart swelling with gratitude. The journey had been arduous, but every step reaffirmed their resilience. As they stood together, watching Mia and Caleb's laughter crescendo, hope surged within her like a phoenix rising. She knew the future was uncertain, but now it glimmered like stars over their heads. Together, they were unbreakable, and in that moment, the father who had once cast shadows over their lives faded into a distant memory. As Sarah faced a new tomorrow, she held on to the most important lesson she had learned: true strength comes from love, and together with Jake and her children, they were ready to embrace whatever came next. Life was waiting. She would not let it pass by unchallenged. With each breath filled with possibility, she whispered to herself, "This is just the beginning. Now, it's time for you to take action." Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire and transform your life. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support, because every click makes a difference. Comment below your reactions to this powerful ending. How did you feel during Sarah's journey? And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation and be uplifted. True fans stand together. Take action now.